Okay, guys. Today let's see about Kops. Okay, Kops is Kubernetes operations. Okay, so normally till now we have seen deploying this Kubernetes cluster on Minikube, right? So on Minikube. So Minikube is for testing environments. For example, if you have to use it in any testing or something, then we can use Minikube. So it will be like single master and node. Okay, but in case if you have to use it in production, okay, if you are using it in production, then obviously you should never use Minikube because it is like single node and single master, right? So it will not be useful. Even in the interviews, when interviewer asks what Kubernetes cluster you are using, you should never tell like you are using Minikube because Minikube will never be used in production or production grade environments. So what exactly we use in production? So in production, we will have hundreds of clusters, okay? Hundreds of clusters. So how do we manage them? So we have different Kubernetes cluster providers, okay? We have different options. We can use a VM and we can install the Kubernetes, okay? We can install this Kubernetes using two methods. One is Kops. Kops is Kubernetes operations, okay? And we have one more method called kubeadm. Kubeadm, okay? And then we have different um, cloud providers who provide these services. For example, if we consider Red Hat, we have something called OpenShift. Okay, we have something called OpenShift, and then from AWS we have EKS. Okay, and then from Azure we have AKS, Azure Kubernetes Service. Okay, so similarly we have something called Rancher and different things. So all these things, what they will be providing service for managing the Kubernetes clusters. Okay. So in case if you are installing it on a VM, then in case of any issues, only you have to troubleshoot because this Kubernetes is installed by you. In case if you pay some premium and if you take a subscription from any of these Red Hat, EKS or AKS, in case if you face any issues, then they will be helping in troubleshooting those issues as well. Okay. So these EKS, AKS, and Rancher, all these are managed services. Okay, but in case if you are taking an VM from AWS and you are installing your own Kubernetes, they will provide service for your VM, but not for your Kubernetes installation which you have done. Okay, because in real time we will have like 100, 200, 300 of clusters. Okay, so in case if you have to create hundreds of clusters, then actually we have to use any of these tools. So today let's see how we can use Kops. Okay. So let's try to install Kubernetes cluster using Kops in AWS. So we have this official documentation. So if you come here, so actually we have to provide the following permissions: IAM, Identity Access Management permissions. One is EC2 full access, okay, and then we have to provide an access for Route 53, and then we have to provide a full access for S3, and then IAM full access, and then we have to give full access for VPC and SQS queuing system, and then Event Bridge full access. Okay, once this is done, actually we have to create a IAM group and then we have to configure AWS. Okay, so we have to configure the AWS and then we can use a dummy DNS for now. Otherwise, in case of organizations, here they are using example.com. In case if you are working for Amazon, it will have like amazon.com. In case if you are like working for IBM, it will have IBM.com, something like that. Okay, so and then we should have a Route 53 and then we should have a S3 bucket as well created for storing those data. In case if you have hundreds of clusters, in order to save all those configurations, we should have a S3 bucket. So they are configuring the Route 53 and then they are configuring S3. Okay. So these are the things. Now let's try to create an EC2 instance and try to use Kops. Okay. So we have logged into AWS EC2. Let me create an instance. Okay, let's select Ubuntu. Okay, here I am selecting T2 micro, and then I am selecting this key pair, and then security group, let it be anything, and then I am just launching an instance. Okay. Okay, let me try to connect this one. Okay, the machine is up and running. So the first thing is actually in case if we have to connect to the Kubernetes cluster, we need kubectl, right? So for example, we have an Kubernetes cluster. It will have an API. So how the API can be accessed using kubectl. Okay. So now let's try to install kubectl. Okay. So we have this command. Just copy it. Okay. So now let's do chmod plus x and then kubectl. Okay. So once this is done, now if we do, we have this kubectl. Now we have to move it into user local bin. Okay. Sudo env kubectl user local bin. So, okay. So I have moved it to the bin so that now we will be able to access the kubectl. Okay. Kubectl version. So if you see here, kubectl is installed. So once kubectl is done, we have to install Kops because we are using Kops for the installation, right? So Kops is a tool. We have to install that one. Okay. Now let's come to Ubuntu. Okay. Let's select this one. So if you see here, we have this one. So just copy this one. I will just copy all these three and then we can paste it here. Okay. It's still downloading. Okay. Now let's try. Okay, if you see here, when I entered Kops, it is working. Okay, so Kops is installed and then kubectl installed. Now we have to configure AWS. Now when we have to install anything, we are using it using like CLI, right? So it has to know like which system to access and which credentials to use. Okay, now we have to configure the AWS. Okay, to configure AWS, we have to use AWS configure. Okay, this is the command. So in order for this AWS to work, we should have AWS CLI. Okay, just copy this one. So paste it. Okay, so as no installations, let's update sudo apt update. Let it update. So meanwhile, let's see what exactly we have done. So we have installed we have installed kubectl and then we have installed Kops and then we have to configure AWS CLI because we are trying to access AWS cloud, right? So when we try to access AWS cloud, then actually we have to use AWS CLI. Okay, so we will be able to interact with this cloud. So we are trying to install this AWS CLI. Okay, so it's still updating. Okay, it is done. Now let's do yes. Okay, so AWS CLI is installed. Now let's do AWS configure. Okay, so if you see here, now it is asking for AWS access key. Okay, so how we can get access key? Just come to your AWS console. Okay, you can click on your name. Okay, and then we have something called security credentials. Click on this one. So when you click on this one, you will get an option to create these things. So if you see here, we have access keys. Okay, so just click on create access key. Okay, create access key, and then if you see here, we have something. So just copy this one. I will just paste it here. Okay, this is the access key, and then we will have something called this one. This is the secret access key. Just copy this one and done. Okay, so we have these things. Now just copy this one. So this is the access key. Okay, just paste it. Okay, and then we have secret access key. You can come here, paste it.
Ashok, you need to have IAM user created before this.
Wait,
Or
it will automatically try to create.
okay.
So it is asking for the default region. Okay, so we can select this one. Okay, AP South one. We are trying to open that one, right? So just paste that one. Okay, and then output format just enter. Okay, now we have configured the AWS. Okay, now it knows like where exactly which secret key it has to use, and then which access key it has to use, and in which location it has to create the resources. So once this is done, actually we have to create an S3 bucket. Okay, so to create an S3 bucket, just you can use AWS and then S3. Okay, and then what you have to do, you have to create a bucket, right? So it is like MB is like for creating make bucket, and then you can give the name. Okay, so it will be hyphen hyphen bucket, and then you can give some name. Okay, test 1 2 3 QWE. Okay, and then hyphen hyphen region, and then you can give the region. So what is the region? AP hyphen south dash 1. Okay, let's try to remove that one. It is S3 colon double slash. Bucket file. Okay, so actually this name should be unique. Okay, S3 bucket, it should have a unique name globally. Okay, so someone has already taken this one. Now let's try to create some other thing. Okay, if you see here, okay, the bucket is created. So now let's check AWS S3 LS. If you see here, we have this bucket created. Okay, so previously we had one bucket, and then now we have one more bucket. Okay, this is the bucket which we created. Now what we have to do, now we have to create the cluster. So how we can create? Okay, apply to AWS. Okay, let's look for that command. Okay, if you see here, we have this command. Okay, we can just copy this one and then we can modify so that we will be able to use. So we may have some others as well. Let's check. Okay, let's use the same one and just we can modify a few things. Okay, so just copy this one and then you can clear everything. You just paste it. Okay, so here we can give different things. So what is the command? Kops create cluster. Okay, so here we can give the name. Okay, so name should be like it should have the domain name. Okay, so as we are using it for test purpose, like we can give like dot local, but in case if you are working for like IBM or Amazon or something, we should have the name like dot amazon.com or dot ibm.com, whatever it is. Okay, let's give the name as demo Kubernetes cluster, and then we have to give dot Kubernetes dot local. Okay, so when you give it as local, it is like a local cluster. Okay, and then what we can give this cloud, it is not required. Now Kops is supported in GCP and all, but that is not like mandatory. So if you see these zones, so actually they were given the zone as US West A, but actually we are in AP South one, right? So we can give as that AP hyphen South dot one, and then we can give something as A. Okay, and then here we have to give the S3 bucket. Let's try to duplicate this one. AWS S3 LS. So we have this is the bucket. Okay, so this is there. But so if you see here, actually we have to give the nodes and all. So edit IG nodes. So we have to give the nodes, and then we have to update. Okay, we have to give the name, and then so we have to use S3 bucket. Okay, this we have done. Okay, so we have given the region. Now let's give the S3 bucket. Okay, so it should be state and then equal to S3. So S3 bucket will be this one. Copy, just paste it. Okay, so till now it's okay. Now, um, shit. So till now we have seen like this, right? So in production cluster, how it will be in production cluster? So we will have one master. Okay, we will have one master, and then how many nodes we'll have? We'll have multiple nodes. Node 1, node 2, node 3, whatever it is. Okay, so based on the application and everything, we can have multiple nodes. So we have to define like how many masters we need and how many nodes we need. Okay, so based on that, we will be able to install different things. Okay, now what we have done, now we have given the S3 bucket and the name of the bucket. Okay, and then we have defined the zone as well. Now we have to give like how many nodes are required. Okay, so in order to give that one, so we have to use this one. So now what we have to give, now we have to give node count. Okay, so node count, we need like two nodes. Nodes are nothing but worker nodes. Okay, because these are called nodes and this is master. So we are giving node count. Node count means it is like a worker nodes, how many nodes we want, that one. And then we can give node size as well. Okay, we have to define hyphen hyphen node hyphen size. So here node size is nothing but EC2 instance size. Okay, let's give here as t2 dot micro. Okay, and then once this is done, we have defined for node. Now we have to define master. Okay, so for master hyphen hyphen master hyphen size. Okay, so because master will be only one, right? For now we are taking one. In case if you want to define master count also, you can define. You can just give master hyphen count and then whatever it is you can give. Now we are considering only one master, so we are directly going into size. Okay, we will give this also as t2 dot micro. So once this is done, then what else we have to give? Apart from this, if you want to give anything, you can give as size. Okay, because we will be installing the applications, right? So it should have like some disk space available. So we can give the disk space master volume size equal to 8, and then we can give the same thing for node. For nodes also it should have some size, right? So node volume hyphen size equal to, we can give it as 8. So once this is done, we can directly install this. Okay, so what we have given, so Kops create cluster. So it will create the cluster. We are giving the name. Okay, we are giving the name as demo Kubernetes cluster, and then we are giving it dot local. In case if you are working for some company, you have to give that company name. Okay, and then zones. Zones are nothing but this one. Okay, and then state equal to S3. We are using S3 bucket, right? And then name of the S3 bucket. Okay, and then node, we should have multiple nodes, right? So in case if you want 100 also you can give. Okay, it will create, but like it will cost more. So it is 2, I am giving 2. And then node size, this is like what is t2 micro, t2 nano, t2 medium, whatever size you want you can give based on your application performance requirements or whatever it is. And then we have to give the size for master node as well. And then we have to give the sizes of the disks. Okay, so once this is done, just copy this one and then just paste it. So if you see here, it started creating. It will take some time. Let's wait for it to complete.
Okay.
Okay, so if you see here, it
Sure.
is
Uh,
finally done. Okay, if you see here, it is done. And then what you are able to see, you are finally configure your cluster with Kops update command. So when we do it with, when we execute this command, just copy it and paste it. Okay, and then you can come here. So I will go to EC2. So if you see here, we have only one EC2 instance is running, right? Now let's try to execute that command. Okay, this command is, we got it directly here. Okay, so just I will do enter. Okay, So actually we have to do export as well, I guess. What is that? We have forgot one command. So that is like export, and then we have to paste in this one equal to, and then we have to pass in the bucket storage path name. Okay, so actually that export command we missed, because we have to give that export equal to, and then that variable Kops state store, and then you have to give the S3 bucket name. Okay, so it will start. So it will take some time. Let's wait for this to complete. Okay, guys, if you see here, the cluster is ready. So the Kops has set up kubectl context, and cluster is starting. Okay, it should be ready in few minutes. Okay, and then suggestions validate cluster. So in case if you have to validate, you can use the command kops validate cluster. Okay, and then you can SSH and you can try to see. If you come here, I will try to refresh this one. If you see here, it has already created. So we have the control plane, and then we have node planes. It is still in initialization state. Let it come up. Okay, it is finally up. Let's do kubectl get nodes. It's created and it is running, but it is not connecting. Maybe the server doesn't have proper access, I guess. Proper access means okay, okay, now it is ready. So actually it is taking some time, but finally if you see here, it is ready. It is taking 16. Okay, if you see here, previously it was telling like wait for 10 minutes. Because of that it is not updating, I guess. Okay, let's wait for some more time. Okay, guys, if you see here, so we have master node, and then one of the worker node, it started coming. Okay, just 15 seconds back. Let's wait for other nodes to come up. Okay, now another node has come up. So as we defined, we have one master node and then two worker nodes. Okay. Okay, guys. So this is how you set up the production grade Kubernetes cluster. So it may take some time to come into ready state. So as we have defined, we are able to see one master node and two cluster nodes. Okay. So it will take some time when you do the setup. So just wait, and this is how you can use. Okay.